Hello students, I welcome you all to the present lecture. Today we are going to talk about classicism, its meaning and important features of classicism. Now, to begin with, the objectives of this present lecture are to enable the students to understand the concept of classicism. Means classicism per se means a lot many things to us, but in this present lecture we are going to focus on classicism as we find this as a movement in the field of literature, the origin of classicism, its impact on literature, the timeline, and also the important features of the works containing the elements of classicism. And also, one other objective of this present module is to develop students' understanding of important features of classicism. Now, what makes a work be regarded as a work in classicism? What are the standout features of those particular works? In ancient Rome, the citizens of the first rank were called classici. See, you just take note of this thing. The citizens of the first rank, the citizens who are regarded as the people belonging to nobility, royal class people, those were known as classici, means top class people, the people belonging to the upper echelons of the society, the cream of the nation, those were known as classici. And from that point onwards, when somebody denotes, somebody regards something as classic, that work, that thing, that object is taken as a model, an excellent model, a top class model of that category. There are two distinctive tendencies in the history of literature. One is classic classicism and another one is romanticism. At some period in the history of literature, one tendency dominates over the other. And in this manner, they appear rather alternately, or sometimes one would say at one particular period we may find one force dominating over the other, but at the same time the other force still making its presence felt. Classicism, like that of romanticism, it is a philosophical as well as an artistic movement that influenced the literature, visual art, music, and architecture of the Western world over many centuries. Classicism is a term, when applied generally, means when it is taken for consideration, when a work of art or a work of literature is considered as a work in classicism, then what are the standout features of those works? Because of the presence of what particular features, that particular work becomes known as a classical work. Now, some of the important features are clearness, elegance, symmetry, and repose produced by attention to traditional forms. Because the principles of classicism were derived from the rules and practices of the Greek and Roman writers, the term came to mean the adherence to specific academic canons. I would like to stress upon this particular fact, and I want to draw your attention to this point, that is, the principles of classicism, the cardinal rules, the most important features, rules, norms of classicism, they were derived from. They were derived from where they were derived? They were derived from the rules and practices of the Greek and Roman writers. From the Greek and Roman, whatever manner in which the Greek and Roman writers of the ancient period they wrote and what they believed in, what they thought, by including what particular features they thought that work would go on to become a classic work, and essentially their works contained what particular features. So those works and those features, those principles, those practices came down as classical elements. So now when a writer or a poet or novelist, if that person follows the footsteps of the ancient Greek and Roman writers and writes in accordance with the rules and principles and practices established and set by the Greek and Roman writers, then that work is generally regarded as a classic work. Because the principles of classicism were derived from the rules and practices of the Greek and Roman writers, the term came to mean the adherence to specific academic canons. Once again, to re-emphasize the meaning of classicism, I would like to add here, classicism is an aesthetic attitude dependent on principles based in the culture, art and literature of the ancient Greece and Rome, with the emphasis on form, simplicity, proportion, clarity of structure, perfection, restrained emotion, as well as explicit appeal to the intellect. Look here. Here it includes, in a very brief manner, this particular sentence tells all about classicism and the features of classicism. It is an aesthetic attitude that is dependent on principles based in the culture, art, and literature of the ancient period and Rome, ancient Greek and Rome, with the emphasis on what they led emphasis. They laid emphasis on form, simplicity, proportion, clarity of structure, perfection, restrained emotion, as well as explicit appeal to the intellect. More precisely, the term refers to the admiration and imitation of Greek and Roman literature, art, and architecture. Because the principles of classicism were derived from the rules and practices of the ancients, the term came to mean the adherence to specific academic canons. Classicism aims to achieve clearness, elegance, symmetry, and repose produced by attention to traditional forms. It is sometimes synonymous with excellence or artistic quality of high distinction. It is a body of doctrine thought to be derived from or to reflect the qualities of ancient Greek and Roman culture. See, what does it aim to achieve? It aims to achieve clearness, elegance, symmetry, and repose produced by attention to traditional forms. It is sometimes synonymous with excellence or artistic quality of high distinction. The term refers to admiration and imitation of Greek and Roman literature and art. And moving on,